It came from my wife's sister, who's been one of my idols forever. She was born with cerebral palsy and didn't walk or talk until she was 13 or 14 years old.
This started really when I was a child. I grew up with a brother who had a measles encephalitis by the name of Tommy, and he had an intellectual impairment and behavioural problems as part of that.
She met somebody like Harry who helped her. He retrained her brain to be able to function well enough to end up winning an Order of Australia medal for services to the arts. She performed in front of the Queen, worked with Jack Thompson and every great actor in Australian history she worked with.
My father was a doctor and my mother a medical social worker. And at that time there were really no services for my brother at all. And my parents were very frustrated. They would go from neurologist to psychiatrist to psychologist, and they would get all these sort of different answers, and none of them very helpful.
She died tragically a few years ago. I wanted to be able to do something for others that this gentleman did for her.
There's not enough knowledge within any one discipline, and that was the experience of my parents growing up. They would get different answers from neurologists, psychiatrists, psychologists, and I suppose that's one of the things that sort of pushed me to go from doing sports and recreation to doing Special Olympics. I then did special education. I then got a degree in psychology at McGill, and then went to medical school in the States. And the more I learned, the more I realized the less I know. And so I then went on and I specialized in neurology and did a full training in neurology as well as a full training in psychiatry. And I also did a fellowship in chronic pain and chronic illness. Also recently completed board certification in disability medicine and also in lifestyle medicine. I felt by getting all of this training that I could somehow put together answers that might make sense.
In meeting Professor McConnell, he'd always had a dream of building an inclusive community. I'd built inclusive communities, but I'd always dreamt of making one better. From seeing what my wife's sister achieved, from not being able to walk or talk, to playing in front of thousands of people on stages in London and Canada and America and stuff like that, that to me felt like we could do that for a lot of people.
And then finally met Lachlan and came across this beautiful place. And there's no place more ideal, there's no better setting to do this. On the basis of neuroplasticity, the concept of the brain healing itself. And that's a really important concept here.
Professor McConnell is one of the world's leading experts in neuroplasticity. He can do things like if your left arm's gone from a stroke, he can train a different part of your brain to run your left arm so it works again. So Professor McConnell's project of ICAN is a life improvement project for people with chronic illnesses and disabilities.
We have new tools that are neuroplasticity and lifestyle based that are far superior. The evidence base for them working is far better than the evidence base for the medications, which we actually know don't work. Overprescribing in this population does far more harm than good. And we can use cognitive behavioral therapy, we can use ABA, we can use all sorts of different behavioral programs along with lifestyle programs, wellness programs, and that is a far more evidence-based approach to improving people's quality of life, dealing with challenging behaviors, and improving life not only for people with disabilities but their families. It goes against the traditional medical model and allows the maximum potential of somebody using their own inherent ability that everyone has to develop new connections in their brain to heal any injury that can come to a brain, whether it's a mental health issue or a physical issue. The brain does have the capacity to heal itself, and what we want to do is find how we can maximize that potential in everyone, right across the board.
The vision for ICAN around the combination of medical support as well as living in a beautiful environment is something that's really important, and access to recreation and sport is part of that. Is helping them to stay active and engaged, and whether that's for 1 hour a day or 6 hours a day, the facilities are there for people to get out and about and to live a very full and active life.
Make sure it's not about money or access to money. Our places will cost exactly the same or less than what would be on the mainland.
Disability housing is very frequently in the worst house, on the worst street, in the worst suburb. And it's not through a lack of money. The NDIS has been a wonderful achievement and has made it so that there are actually, for the first time ever, significant financial resources to change people's lives, to improve people's quality of life.
Safety is first, so we're going over the top on safety because we want to be seen as a safe pair of hands. And we'll have a medical team here that if something goes wrong, which inevitably it will, we're able to do advanced resuscitation work to keep them safe while an ambulance comes. And then moving from safety on to a beautiful accommodation.
We also want them to be living in beautiful accommodation, fantastic state-of-the-art housing, as well as beautiful views, access to the rainforest, access to the beaches, and access to all of these activities, and access to their family.
Every family who has a child or a brother or a father or a mother with a disability has been through a rough time. Being a carer is a very challenging thing, but also working with the system is very challenging.
The family component here is critical, because without connection, you have nothing. We want the families to come out here and live with their loved ones with as much as they want. Some people will choose to move to the island. Some people will come and want to come on weekends. Whatever, we want families to actually have quality time with their loved ones with disabilities and enjoy that time.
As a result of, I guess, our engagement and our association with this project, we believe there would be a lot of mutual benefits, both from our staff, families, the participants, and obviously the existing team of ICAN that would learn from our team, and we would have a lot to learn from their team.
Parents have so many questions that haven't been answered. They've got so many things that they don't even know their kids can do or their young adults can do. There's young adults and mature adults that can live here. Their parents can come and visit them, or they can stay. That bonding is really important, particularly in new diagnosis and particularly in learning to let go and let their people be who they are and how can they grow.
Everyone needs meaning in their life. We want everyone who is capable of having employment, and I believe almost everyone is capable of having employment, to have a job.
And it's a valuable job, it's necessary. You can see what you've done. We have our own shops, we have our own restaurants, we've got groundsmen, we've got mechanics, we've got everything that a little town has.
And that may be gardening, that may be arts, that may be crafts, that may be volunteer work, that may be paid work. It could be a whole range of different activities that contribute to the community.
To the right capacity, you can do here, earn some money for it. So if you want to become a barista, we'll train you to be a barista.
Imagine your child that hasn't been able to do anything is out there and they're the barista for the day, or they're out there doing some of the exercise training with all the other people, and they're valued and their self-value is going to increase. Not only that, it helps the parents and the carers learn how to care better for them, but also how to care for themselves.
We feel this can be an inclusive community that can create something that's the first of its type in the world. It's about inclusiveness for everybody. And Gold Coast Recreation Sport, wonderful organisation that wants to work with us. They run our activities, so you've got a day planned every day.
The vision of ICAN is that this community will be a community that grows together, and I think that's just amazing. And in a beautiful environment like South Straddie.
A really unique community that really doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, a totally inclusive community that's really built around the needs of people with disabilities and their families, and it's an environment that speaks wellness. So wellness is integrated into the treatment plans for everyone and integrated into the lifestyle. So there's a lifestyle approach to the treatment here, an integration of health services along with disability services. This is really about patient empowerment. We want to empower them to be able to make the best decisions for themselves.
And for us, that would be a wonderful initiative and something that would help grow our organisation, and to also give staff that opportunity to be part of this wonderful vision of ICAN.
So we're looking at educating our people, educating the carers of those people, helping to educate and train the families of those people, and educating us all as a community. So that community growth and that community development in all areas of empathy and caring, and being able to be in the forefront of looking at neuroplasticity in a way that we can all have a better life, and we can all have the life that we want, not what others want us to have. And I think for me that's the privilege.
So it's really important for us to work together as a multidisciplinary team. So we're going to be working here with neurologists, psychiatrists, neuropsychiatrists, psychologists, neuropsychologists. We're going to be working here with a whole team of physiotherapists, occupational therapists, vocational therapists, exercise physiologists, and it's got to be a team effort here of everybody working together with the people with disabilities, with their families, and as a community.
how they can see that someone can grow in an environment where you are who you are, where you are accepted who you are, and you grow with your abilities, and those abilities are accepted. Your abilities are accepted, not your disabilities.
With all the incredible facilities, the natural beauty, the 20 kilometres of beachfront on that side, the beaches outside, the wallabies, the birds, the forest, which will be a place where people can live and work and train themselves to be better and live well with a disability with the goal of improving their life. And it's available to everybody.
I understand what it is to have a vision, as I was the original staff member at Gold Coast Recreation and Sport over 30 years ago. I understand vision, we love the vision, we want to be part of it, and we want other people to be as excited as we are to be part of it.
The emphasis being on wellness rather than illness, and ability rather than disability.
But over time we can build a town based around inclusiveness, being fair to everybody, being nice to everybody, and making people's lives better.
Proudly produced by Integra Media. Integra.